Britain's high streets are under siege. December 2025. Organised criminal gangs are storming into shops with wheelie bins and industrial-sized bags, sweeping entire shelves clean while terrified employees watch helplessly. This isn't petty theft by desperate individuals. This is systematic plunder, executed by coordinated crews using Bluetooth earpieces to communicate, armed with knives and syringes, walking out with £20,000 worth of goods in minutes, knowing full well that police are too stretched to respond. The scale is staggering. Between April 2024 and March 2025, police logged 643 shoplifting incidents, a shocking 19.5% jump, representing the highest figure since current police recording practices began in 2003. Break that down, it's roughly 10,000 thefts weekly, or approximately 1,450 every single day. The really frightening part, 1 in 4 British citizens, that's over 16 million people, personally witnessed a shoplifting incident in the last 12 months. In cities like Nottingham, 32% of residents saw criminals in action. London, 29%. These crimes aren't happening under cover of darkness in dodgy back alleys. They're unfolding in the middle of the afternoon in crowded supermarkets while families do their weekly shopping. The criminals have figured out what most of us are only now realizing: the system can't stop them anymore. But hold on, before we dive deep into just how organized and violent this epidemic has become, let's get real about something. Mainstream media loves reporting on Keir Starmer's tough-on-crime soundbites. They'll dutifully cover his legislative announcements and police strategy rollouts. What they conveniently ignore is the brutal reality unfolding while politicians speechify in Westminster. Shop workers are enduring over 2,000 violent or abusive incidents every single day, with weapon-related attacks skyrocketing by 180% compared to last year. That's why we built British Front Media. Subscribe now for the real story they won't tell you. Reason 1. We're witnessing industrial-scale criminal operations masquerading as shoplifting. Step into virtually any corner shop or supermarket in Britain right now. Notice anything different: the meat section behind locked glass, coffee beans in security containers, baby formula under lock and key, even confectionery tagged like luxury watches. This isn't paranoia, it's survival. When Co-op's Director of Public Affairs testified before Parliament, he described gangs coming into stores with wheelie bins or a builder's bag to steal the entire confectionery section or spirits or meat section. Read that again. The entire section. They're not pocketing a chocolate bar, they're emptying wholesale quantities. Co-op reported a staggering 44% increase in retail crime, with executives stating unequivocally, this surge is driven by organized criminal networks, not desperate individuals. This operates like a legitimate supply chain, just criminal. Channel 4 sent undercover journalists into these networks and discovered sophisticated distribution hubs in cities like Northampton, where stolen merchandise gets sorted, repackaged, and shipped internationally. These aren't lone wolves improvising. They're organized units, 3-person teams equipped with Bluetooth communications technology, working predetermined routes, hitting multiple stores in rapid succession. One security expert compared it to how legitimate retailers operate. It's like a mafia-style operation. It's run like a business. Check the economics. Britain's retail sector is bleeding £4.2 billion annually to crime, £2.2 billion vanishing directly through theft. Another £1.8 billion spent installing security systems that barely slow the criminals down, plus an additional £200 million in insurance costs. The British Retail Consortium documented over 20 million theft incidents, that's 55,000 per day compared to 16 million the previous year. What does that mean for you? Hidden inflation. The Association of Convenience Stores calculates a 10p crime tax on every single transaction in every shop across Britain, up 67% from just 6p 2 years ago. Reason 2. The violence inflicted on retail workers has reached epidemic proportions. Here's what Starmer doesn't highlight when celebrating reduced homicide numbers. While politicians point to declining murder rates as proof of success, Britain's 3 million retail employees are living through a nightmare. The British Retail Consortium's 2025 crime survey showed around 737,000 incidents of violence and abuse in 2023-24, up from 475,000 the previous year. That's climbing from 1,300 incidents daily to over 2,000. Even more alarming, this represents a 340% increase since 2020, when there were just 455 incidents per day. The Association of Convenience Stores estimates 59,000 violent incidents in their sector alone, plus 1.2 million incidents of verbal abuse. The testimony from Co-op's senior leadership haunts you. If one of my colleagues gets in the way, they won't say sorry and walk walk out, there will be a violent threat. It might be a knife or might be a syringe. I've had colleagues attacked with a medieval mace. We've had colleagues lose their eye or colleagues miscarry. Let that sink in. Medieval mace. 2025. Modern Britain. Retail workers suffering miscarriages from workplace assaults. The Union US Dow's March 2025 survey is devastating. 77% of shop workers experienced verbal abuse within just 12 months. 53% received direct threats of violence. 10% suffered actual physical assault. The trigger? 66% directly connected these attacks to shoplifting incidents. The thieves aren't just stealing anymore. They're deploying violence as a strategy to ensure nobody interferes. Most disturbing. 70 incidents per day now involve weapons, more than double the previous year. A GMB union survey of nearly 1,000 Asda workers revealed 1 in 3 had been attacked, with staff reporting being stabbed, punched, threatened with syringes, spat at, suffering broken bones, hit with bottles, and receiving death threats against them and their children. Store workers have had watermelons and joints of gammon thrown at them. Delivery drivers have been chased by people in cars and confronted by customers in the nude. Listen to what workers are reporting. A shoplifter punched the window next to me and said it would be my face next time. Another, involved in an armed robbery and attacked with a machete, had items of stock thrown at me by customers. Nearly half, 48% of retail workers surveyed by the Retail Trust said they currently fear for their safety, with almost 2/3 stressed and anxious going to work. Reason 3. Despite all the promises, police response remains catastrophically insufficient. Starmer's government projects strength. They rolled out their Winter of Action campaign this December. They eliminated the notorious £200 low-value shoplifting loophole. They've committed to deploying 13,000 additional officers by 2029. On paper, it sounds decisive. Reality paints a bleaker picture. During the year ending September 2023, merely 14% of shoplifting cases resulted in charges or summons. In over half of all cases, police couldn't even identify a suspect. When retailers were surveyed, 61% rated police response as either poor or very poor, according to the British Retail Consortium, with only 3% describing it as excellent, marking the first time in 5 years any retailers gave that rating. The numbers before recent reforms were even more shocking. Co-op's data showed police responding to just 2 out of every 10 reported crimes before October 2023. 2 out of 10. Police attendance has supposedly climbed to 66%, which still means 1 in 3 times when store security physically detains a criminal with stolen goods, police never arrive. What's driving this failure? Overwhelmed police forces operating with insufficient funding, instructed to prioritize violent crime categories. But pose this question to the shop assistant, who faced down a machete-wielding thief. Does retail crime not qualify as violent? Ask the 17-year-old in their first job who got threatened with a needle whether they feel protected. The chasm between Westminster's rhetoric and shop floor reality is vast. Reason 4. The financial damage is systematically destroying communities nationwide. London alone hemorrhages £9.2 million monthly to shoplifting. In just the first 6 months of 2025, London recorded 45,224 shoplifting offences, representing a 54% year-on-year increase. Mobile phone theft is a major driver, with around 80,000 stolen phones in London in 2024, a 25% jump from 64,000 in 2023. Nationwide, convenience stores alone record 6.2 million thefts per year. And remember, that's only reported incidents. The Association of Convenience Stores calculated that retail crime drains £245 million annually from convenience stores, specifically, resulting in a 10p crime tax embedded in every transaction at every British shop. That's jumped 67% in just 2 years, up from 6pt in the 2023 crime report. Who absorbs this cost? You do. Each time you purchase anything, you're subsidizing the operational expenses of organized criminal enterprises facing zero consequences. Geography matters significantly. East Sussex suffers the highest shoplifting rate at 12.13 incidents per 1,000 residents. The second most dangerous area is Tyne and Wear at 11.25, followed by Nottinghamshire, in third at 10.89 per 1,000. But nowhere enjoys immunity. In Northampton, the shoplifting rate hits 16.93 per 1,000, more than double the national average. Kensington and Chelsea follows close behind at 16.79, with Brighton and Hove at 15.87. These crimes ripple outward. When neighbourhood stores close because losses exceed sustainable levels, communities lose social infrastructure. Elderly residents lose walking distance shopping access. Young people lose first job opportunities. Neighbourhoods lose gathering spaces. The social fabric tears. one shuttered shop at a time. Reason 5. The gangs are emboldened and increasingly brazen. Security professionals report something chilling happening. Thieves now openly negotiate with staff. I'll take a sandwich, and if anyone approaches me, I'll take more. But as long as you let me take my sandwich, I'm going to leave you alone. They've studied the system inside out. They know prosecution thresholds. They know police staffing levels. They know arrest probabilities. They know that even if caught, conviction remains unlikely. So they operate with brazen confidence. Documentation exists of criminals stealing 21 mobile phones in 60 minutes. 21 phones, 1 hour. That's a phone every 3 minutes. Yes, the government established Operation Pegasus, a specialised police intelligence unit funded through partnerships with 14 of the UK's biggest retailers. Initial results: 60 arrests across 4 months, impacting £3.4 million in criminal activity. The government's Summer Safer Streets initiative resulted in 16,000 arrests and fines, mostly for shop theft and antisocial behaviour. Sounds impressive until you remember the sector loses £2.2 billion yearly. That's like bailing the Titanic with a teaspoon. Meanwhile, criminal networks evolve faster than enforcement can adapt. They've upgraded from mopeds to e-bikes for faster escapes. They've shifted from individual operators to synchronized teams. They've moved from opportunistic theft to shopping to order. Sophisticated operations where gangs steal specific merchandise pre-sold to international buyers. Research indicates organized crime groups now systematically target multiple stores in small areas in short amounts of time, rotating locations to avoid detection. Reason 6. Government intervention remains fundamentally inadequate. Certainly, Starmer's crime and policing bill establishes assault on retail workers as a distinct criminal offence carrying up to 6 months imprisonment and unlimited fines. Certainly, they've abolished the £200 threshold that effectively decriminalised shoplifting. Certainly, they've promised enhanced police presence. But here's what remains unaddressed: the fundamental economics making retail crime extraordinarily profitable and low risk. Research shows organised gangs contribute to half of all knife crime with injury, 60% of shootings, and 29% of reported child sexual exploitation. Retail crime doesn't exist separately from serious organised crime, it bankrolls it. In 2025, there were around 53,000 offences involving a sharp instrument in England and Wales, and organised retail crime networks increasingly use these weapons against shop workers. Consider Scotland's experience. Nearly 4,000 shop workers suffered attacks in 2024, with 170 incidents of violence or abuse daily. Shoplifting cost Scottish retailers £170 million last year. The Scottish Government's response? Allocating £3 million. £3 million against £170 million in losses. The mismatch is absurd. Courts remain hopelessly backlogged. Even when police successfully arrest suspects, only 16.4% of shoplifting prosecutions result in charges, slightly above the average for all crimes, but still worryingly low. The message criminals receive is crystal clear. Rewards vastly exceed risks. The current state of affairs, December 2025. Britain confronts a retail crime crisis spiralling beyond control. Over 530,000 official shoplifting incidents. 20 million theft events reported across the retail sector. More than 2,000 violent attacks on shop workers daily. £4 billion in annual combined costs, and the trajectory points upward, not down. Security industry leaders report that even supposedly opportunistic shoplifters now operate with some level of infrastructure around them. 76% of retailers believe organised crime has become more prevalent over the last year. The distinction between individual criminals and organised networks has dissolved. Everyone connects to someone. Everything feeds into systems engineered to maximise profit while minimising consequences. Starmer campaigned promising toughness on crime and its root causes, but he inherited police services gutted by conservative austerity, court systems backlogged beyond functionality, and criminal networks that spent years growing sophisticated and confident during policy vacuum. The Crime Survey for England and Wales estimated 9.6 million incidents of headline crime in the year ending December 2024, representing a 14% increase from the previous year. The government's winter of action generated 16,000 arrests over the summer period. Impressive headline, until you realise that represents approximately 11 days' worth of theft based on current rates. The arrested criminals get immediately replaced. The networks continue operating uninterrupted. What they're not telling you: politicians deliver speeches celebrating legislative wins. Police chiefs publish statistics highlighting operational successes. Retailers invest billions in increasingly sophisticated security. Yet conditions deteriorate. Why? Britain has engineered a perfect storm: economic pressure pushing more people toward criminal activity, organized networks expertly exploiting enforcement weaknesses, police forces stretched impossibly thin across competing priorities, courts unable to process cases with reasonable speed, and penalties too mild to deter professionals earning thousands weekly through theft. Shop workers now function in what Scottish retail executives describe as a climate of fear. Teenagers in their first jobs face verbal abuse, physical intimidation, and genuine violence for minimum wage. Elderly employees get assaulted. Pregnant workers lose babies following attacks, and criminals understand that help usually isn't coming. More than 16 million British citizens witnessed shoplifting last year. That's millions of ordinary people who've watched criminals operate freely, seen shop workers threatened and ignored, observed the wholesale collapse of retail security, and concluded that Britain's fundamental social contract, "you follow rules, society protects you," has shattered. The criminal gangs are winning, the shop workers are suffering, communities are bearing the costs, and despite governmental promises, press conferences and legislative theatre, nothing substantive is changing fast enough to reverse the collapse. That's Britain, in December 2025. That's the reality mainstream outlets downplay or ignore. And that's precisely why every Briton should pay close attention to conditions on their local high street, because the retail crime epidemic is merely a symptom of something much deeper and more dangerous: a society progressively losing its capacity to enforce basic order and shield ordinary citizens from predatory criminal enterprises.